Okay. There we go. Hi, you guys. I'm filming on my camera for the first time in probably ever in terms of me using it. But welcome back. I'm Zoe. This week we've got a sit-down video because I'm done with my Bali vlogs. It only took 6 months for me to get through all of my Bali footage, but the first video on my list of things that I wanted to talk about is so long overdue. It's 2026 goals and resolutions. I felt the need to still make this video because we're 1/4 into the year and I feel like now is when I'm hitting my wall with all of the goals that I've made, and making this video will hopefully reignite the motivation and need to continue. I'm not planning on stopping any of these goals, and I haven't stopped anything, but I've really slowed down with how consistently I'm doing these things. A majority of the reason is because all these things take up your schedule pretty heavily if you only have one goal, and I've got like 3 of the big hitters that just like shift my schedule so much, and I'm working full time. So yeah, I'll get into them. 2026 is the first year that I've had a resolution at all, had actual goals that I feel motivated to pursue, that I'm serious about. And this, I think, comes with getting older, for me at least. But previously I was like, why would I make a goal if I'm just not going to keep it? I knew resolutions have that reputation of being something you only do for a while, so I was just like not interested in the concept. And because this shift happened for me around October of 2025, I felt confident that in 2026 these things were actually important to me enough to make the lifestyle changes long term. Starting off strong with the most stereotypical goal you could possibly have, the gym. And I'm laughing at myself because I've never been a gym girl. I grew up dancing and doing gymnastics and ice skating, and I had a very physical upbringing, and I never needed to be in the gym. Not that if you're doing those things that you don't need to be in the gym, that's not true. But me being me, dancing all the time, being active, having that high metabolism, I never needed to exercise outside of that. Now, when I came back from my trip, I was told I had high cholesterol, and my doctor was like, you need to take care of that, you're only 27. And I was like, damn. So then I started working out, doing my little YouTube workouts in my living room, and I really got addicted to exercising in a way that I had never before. And then I took a free month of ClassPass, started taking strength training classes, because even at that point I wasn't interested in the gym because I knew that I wouldn't know what I was doing there. I would hurt myself very likely, and just be aimless and have, just no freaking clue what I'm doing in the gym. So the ClassPass strength training classes I was taking helped me become more independent, helped me know and learn what to and what not to do. And then I just felt comfortable getting that gym membership. So I got the gym membership. I found an app called Ladder, which I really love. It's essentially an app that gives you access to different personal trainers. And in the program, during a workout session, they will tell you what workouts you're doing. You'll do it together. They'll tell you how long you're resting. And it's like you literally have someone with you there. So amazing. Still, if I wasn't doing that, I don't know if I could be in the gym independently. But that really got me hooked. And now that I'm in the gym, I want a fat ass. So goal number 1, fat ass. I had to switch to my phone because my SD card died. Goal number 2, learn Indonesian. I'm also laughing at myself for this one. I'm laughing at myself for all of my goals, but we have to stop laughing at ourselves and just have the goals. Part of why I'm laughing at myself is because I tried really hard not to be, but I was that person who went to Indonesia and then immediately was like, wow, I want to move here. So that, coupled with the fact that I was made to believe that Indonesian is one of the easier languages to learn, and I don't think that that's untrue, but that has since kind of been debunked based on the fact that I speak English, and it's easier, like there's a hierarchy of languages that are easier for English speakers to learn, and Indonesian is not one of them. So I do think the language is simpler than a lot of other languages, but unlike Spanish, where a lot of the root words are shared and you have similar versions of words like education versus education, you know what I mean? There's just a lot more words to memorize. And that's something that takes a lot of time and patience. So I think I very much still have this desire. And so much so that I am plopping myself in on a different island in Indonesia for the month of July on a farm so that I can be in a less Western space and have exposure to the language for an extended period of time. That, coupled with the next month, which will be back in Bali, back with my friends, I'm gonna have a longer amount of exposure to it this time than I did last time. And mind you, last time I wasn't even trying to learn the language when I was there. I didn't start wanting to learn the language until I had left. So I'm already feeling confident about how much exposure I'll have. I also bought a course and I've been doing that, but like obviously you need that exposure to practice and have it sink in. Goal number 3 is YouTube. I have been making videos on and off for 5 years or so, very inconsistently, not enough to find my voice, maybe just barely enough to get comfortable in front of the camera, but then that comes and goes. So this year, my goal is consistency with YouTube. My goal is consistency with YouTube because, side note, and this is part of one of my little side goals, which is a career break, and I'll touch on that more later, but I want YouTube to be my main focus right now because it's so broad and it is just a space for me to explore myself in a way that I feel heavily needs it. My career right now as a professional ceramic artist doing freelance work in New York City, amazing. I'm very proud of myself for where I have gotten to, but a situation that I'm dealing with is a separation from the passion that's necessary and important to your craft because I've been doing it as a day job. And a day job implies, I guess, that it's not something you want to be doing. That's not what I mean. A day job, though, also implies that that's how you're paying your bills. So it's not that it's not what I want to be doing, because it is. I do production for 2 other artists. I teach, and technically I have my own work. Technically, but that has been heavily neglected, and the things that I have been making have not been things that I align with. They've been things that I'm making because I think they might sell. Horrible reason to make something, and also conditioned from me being a production artist. And I'm just feeling like I need space. I need space from my job so that I can come back to my craft in a way that is in alignment, in a way that allows me to explore my creativity truly, and my creativity isn't a consequence to having a roof over my head. That's not how I want it to be, and that's how it is right now. So it's really interesting because I'm actually quite intrigued, I guess, by the fact that I'm making this video 4 months in, because I made these goals at the beginning of the year, and now I can see how cards are landing, because I'm traveling for 3 months this summer, and that in and of itself is kind of going to act as the break for me in terms of work. And I don't know if that was intentional. I think I was going to only go in August, travel in August for the month of August, and I was prepared to do that because I had just done a month in 2025, and I was just going to move it to August because that's when my birthday is. And then a friend of mine offered June, the whole month of June, in her apartment in London. And so I said yes to that. But then I was like, go to London, come back, have to pay rent. Not have money because you were just in London spending all of your money. So no rent money. And then coming back to work after 1 month absence, then leaving again, which wouldn't matter if I didn't just start a job that is a little bit less free when it comes to things like that. They're okay with me being gone for the summer, but I just felt weird, I think, going and coming back and going again. And I found it's more feasible financially for me to be gone all 3 months somehow, because I'm subletting my room mostly. So making these goals at the beginning of the year kind of created all of these opportunities that I wouldn't have fathomed, I guess. And the year's not even over, so I'm actually really excited to see what comes next. But going back to my original point, focusing on YouTube so that I can be consistent and actually see where my channel can go when given my energy and that consistency, and creating those habits, fitting them into my lifestyle. It's that 1 year lock-in kind of mindset of, if you lock in for 1 year, even by the end of the year, if theoretically you do not have what you wanted in the beginning, the habits that you've created in the last year are still going to be what gets you there eventually. And now they're a part of your life, so that stopping isn't necessary. Stopping isn't something that you have to do. You can do it if you want to stop, you can. But it's more about creating the habit so that it is part of your lifestyle, so that it's somewhat easier to keep going. And that's what I've been doing with all of my goals. However, these 3 things that I've listed take up a lot of time. And if I were only focusing on one, end results would come a lot sooner than if I were spread out between 3 things. But I don't think it's that cut and dry. I'm still very interested in all of these things, and I'm not going to stop. And so also with me, one of the reasons why these things have fallen off a little bit, like for instance, let's say for a week I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit the gym 4 days this week, and I do, working a full day and then coming home and only having the energy to either do one of the 3, edit, learn Indonesian for an hour, or go to the gym. Like, I have to choose. For some reason, realistically, it has been harder to structure my week, and I've played around with it, and I will still keep playing around with it, of like, Mondays we do Indonesian, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays we go to the gym, and then Wednesday nights we edit. But like, obviously for me, I cannot make a YouTube video in one editing session. So if I'm making a YouTube video, I need to edit 1 hour a day for the whole week for me to get that video out. So it's like, I can only focus on so much at one time. But those are the 3 goals I think that are taking up space in my brain that I actually care about. I've got others that I don't need to mention, because they're more so something I just need to acknowledge that I want, keep working towards my things, and then, the universe will fill those spaces in. That's kind of how I feel about it. But this is really more so in terms of how I'm structuring my time and what I'm able to give my time and energy to. But I am happy that I made this video, because it is a good reminder to me that I am still interested in these things. It's not that I've lost interest in these things. It's that there's only so much time in a day, and I've been spreading myself thin, and I've had to step back and maybe go to the gym less, or like force the Indonesian lesson, because if I don't do that, then I'm really gonna fall off on that and actually forget words, which is just backtracking and wasting time. So, and like say with the gym, like if you don't if you don't go to the gym on a regular basis, you're not gonna get the fat ass, okay? If you don't eat enough protein, don't even get me started on 100 grams of protein, okay? That's hard for me. Why is that so hard for me? People do it all the time. Ugh. Okay, anyway. You can see my frustration starting to come out, but I'm gonna leave it there. I've stated my focus for the year, and once June comes and I'm no longer working 8 hours a day, all of these things will have much more time for me to give to. So that's exciting. That's exciting for me to think about. I think before I had this plan of travel for the summer, I kind of felt like a hamster on a wheel. I kind of felt like I was beating burnout back with a stick. And I did hit a burnout wall earlier in the year. And burnout kind of comes in waves. And like when it comes, you have to give yourself what you need. And then when it goes, okay, you can pick back up. But then when it goes, it doesn't really go for real unless you take a frickin' break, right? So it just lowers, like your experience of it lowers versus when it's at its height. So I really don't know if anything I've said has landed or if I've made any points at all, but thank you for watching. Hopefully maybe this was helpful to you. If you feel similarly with trying to juggle your goals and need motivation to keep going, sit down with yourself and remind yourself why you have those goals and reorient your priorities, because you do not have to stick to something if you do not identify with it anymore. If you made a goal at the beginning of the year and it's 4 months later and you're like, I don't care about her anymore, then fucking drop her. You know what I mean? So yeah, let me know your goals in the comments. I want to know. We can share, we can dish. I can give you support if you give me support. Not if, it's not conditional, but just share. I want to know. Okay? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.